Good morning. Welcome to the class. In today's class, we'll discuss kite test. So in the previous classes, we had discussed about ANOVA, and I have discussed one-way ANOVA. I have discussed two-way ANOVA. You see, like in your question paper, you'll always get 10 marks and 15 marks problem on ANOVA. So you can see that always every year, whichever year question paper, if you observe, you can see 10 marks question. Like here, question number 9. Like, then here you can see this problem on ANOVA. So you can see this question number 12. So every year you will definitely will get a problem on ANOVA. And ANOVA problem in exam will generally will be one way ANOVA only. But in case if they'll ask you in case study, they may give you two-way ANOVA. So make sure that you have gone through my session on ANOVA. And in case if you have missed my session on ANOVA, what probably you can do, you can go and watch the video on ANOVA which already I made for you people, so that in case for any reason, for any internet problem, if you have missed the session, you can go through the video, and that way you can make sure that you understand this concept, because altogether ANOVA is very important concept. So either I talk about ANOVA, either I talk about chi-square test, which we're going to discuss today, or we talk about Z test, or we talk about t-test. Everything is based on a concept called test of hypothesis. So what basically we are doing here, we are talking about here test of hypothesis. So in test of hypothesis, whenever we work on test of hypothesis, hypothesis is being passed on. Hypothesis is a statement which may or may not be correct. So we don't know. So there's a statement which is passed in general public by certain person or whoever who's resourceful person related to any organization or related to society or related to any other perspective. So hypothesis is a statement which is being passed on. And what we basically do in test of hypothesis, we try to validate the statement. So the statement which is being passed on, is this true or not? So that is what we try to do in the case of hypothesis, or in the case of hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing basically begins with an assumption, which is a hypothesis, and that we make about a population parameter. So it is a statement what we make around, or which we make about a population parameter, and then what we do, we collect sample data, produce sample statistics, and use this information to decide how likely that our hypothesis population parameter is correct. So there is a statement which is being passed about in population parameter. So population parameter, there are two terms I'm using here. One term is called population parameter. There's a one term which is called as population parameter, and the another term what I've used here is called sample statistics. So I hope you remember the initial days of statistics, what I told you. So in that I told you statistics is basically of two types. Statistics can be either, it can be descriptive statistics, or it can be either inferential statistics. So what is population in that? Of all the units on which we want to do research is called population. Okay, and whenever we do research, either we can do research on population, which is the sum total of all the units, or while performing, we can take a smaller unit of population, which is called a sample, and then we perform our test on sample, and the conclusion what we get on a sample, with that we try to understand the population. So then that way when we work on, then that is called a sample statistics. So when we do test of hypothesis, there's a statement which is passed about population parameter. Population parameter can be mean, median, mode, standard deviation, quartile deviation, anything related to population. So any mathematical statistical assessment tool related to population is called population parameter. And then in order to prove or disprove what is being said about population, we collect data, we take a sample of, and then we perform certain form of test. So those tests what we perform, so those under test of hypothesis. And whenever we talk about these tests, so either we do this test either in the term of mean, or either we perform this test either in the term of proportion. So either when we do test of hypothesis, either we do in the term of mean or we do in the term of proportion. So generally, when you solve problem on test of hypothesis, always remember that whenever there's a problem given about proportion, we always follow Z test in that. So don't get confused with that perspective. So proportion basically means probability. Okay. Normally, whenever you have your data in the term of probability, then always binomial theorem or Poisson theorem is a better tool to work on. But when we follow normal distribution, when your NP or your NQ is greater than or equal to 5. So if your NP or NQ is greater than or equal to 5, then we prefer normal distribution in doing such kind of analysis. Okay, so under normal distribution only, we are discussing all this test of hypothesis, whatever we are talking. So while working on the test of hypothesis, either we work on mean or either we work on proportion. Mean problem can be either one mean problem, it can be two mean problem. Proportion problem can be either one proportion problem, it can be two proportion problem. You can see this question with one. There's a one question which came in exam. So there's a question which came once it came. So it was based on proportion. You can see that problem. So basically based on, you can see this question number 11. So here they are given question number 11, if you can see. So here they are given you information about the heating habit of people of Bangalore, and that they are comparing with the people of Mangalore. Okay, and what you do need to do, this question number 11, you need to test of hypothesis at 1% level of significance, finding is there any significant difference between the two towns as far as the proportion of pizza eating habits are concerned. So this is basically a problem of two proportion. I hope you can understand. Here two set of data is given about Bangalore and Mangalore. So this is then this become a problem of two proportion problem. So like that, when we do test of hypothesis, either we work on one mean problem where only one set of data is given, or either we can work on two mean problem, or we can work on two proportion problem or one proportion problem. So that is a general way, and based upon that, we either perform Z test or we either perform T test whenever we have to do test of hypothesis. And while working on, just hold for a moment. Yeah. So whenever we perform test of hypothesis, either we do whenever we perform test of hypothesis, either we do on mean or either we do on proportion. So that point you can keep in your mind. So while working on test of hypothesis, either we are working on mean or when we are working on proportion, so we can have one mean data, we can have two mean data, we can have two proportion data, or we can have one proportion data. Generally, in one mean or one proportion or two proportion or one proportion data, what point you need to understand here is to, whenever there is a data based on proportion, we always follow Z test in that. And whenever we have a data on mean, we either follow Z test or T test. So that you need to understand by yourself. When we do T test, when we do Z test, so generally while talking about T test and Z test, T test we do whenever the population standard is unknown to us and the value of n is less than 30. So if the value of n is less than 30 and the population standard deviation unknown to us, then we perform T test in that. In rest all the cases we perform Z test. And while we are working on test of hypothesis, either you have one mean problem, two mean problem, one proportion problem, or two proportion problem. You may have to think beyond two mean or beyond two proportion. You may find a data where you have more than two mean problem. So in order to establish the equality of more than two mean problem, then we perform ANOVA. And whenever we need to perform the equality of two proportion problem, we do chi-square test. So in today class, what we're going to discuss, we're going to discuss something which is very important that we call as chi-square test. So every year, whenever you see the problem on chi-square, every year you get a problem. So chi-square test, whenever you do, it is basically performed. We are talking about the equality of proportion. So whenever we are talking about the equality of proportion, we use chi-square test. So you have to spend some time understanding when we use Z test, when we use chi-square test, when we use T test, when we use ANOVA. That you need to understand by yourself. You have to spend some time reading some statistics book, so that will not come so handy for all of you. I'll try to give you the content book related information, but some point you also have to put to understand this concept. So when we talk about chi-square test is generally performed whenever we are talking about equality of more than two proportion data. So whenever we are talking about the equality of more than two proportion data, we perform chi-square test. And every time, every year you see Bangalore City question paper, you will always find a problem on chi-square. You can see here question number 3. You can see this is the question of chi-square. It came for 6 marks. Then you can see this year 2009. You see the question number 5. It is a question of chi-square. So every year you will get a question on chi-square. Here you can see which year. You can see this question number 6. It is a problem of chi-square. So every year, definitely you will get a problem on chi-square, and you should be in position to able to do that. You can see this question number 7. So the purpose of showing you this is to give you kind of assurance that if you study this topic called chi-square test, then it will become easy for you to understand this. So without spending much time, let's start talking about chi-square test. You can see in this problem number 3 that it is given that a certain medicine was given to a village population to prevent the mosquito related disease. Okay, so you know that how government are getting concerned day by day with respect to the diseases what is spreading around us. You know that so many diseases are right now are attacking us, and we should be in position to prevent ourselves as much as we can from these diseases. So maybe there is some government of some state which has taken some initiative to give vaccination or medicines to the people who are suffering from who may suffer from the mosquito related disease. And whenever sanitation is a problem, or whenever cleanliness is the issue, then there's always a chance of spreading or getting the mosquito related disease. So maybe government is planning to give required attention or required assistance to the people with regard to mosquito related disease. And with that initiative, what government is doing, government is trying to listen to the people wherever there is a chance of having a mosquito related disease. And for this, what government is doing, government has done certain initiative, and based upon that initiative, the government has given certain part of people medicine. And then what government is trying to measure how effective is giving this medicine. So it's like giving this medicine to the village people, does it make any sense or it does not make any sense. So that problem what we are trying to do here, that a certain medicine was given to the village population to prevent the mosquito related disease. Okay, use chi-square test at 5% level of significance to determine whether the medicine was effective or not. So this is what we need to do here. So whenever we do chi-square test, whenever forming chi-square test, whenever we are working on chi-square test, so first thing we'll write is the null hypothesis. The first thing we'll write is the null hypothesis. First thing we'll write is the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. What I'll write in null hypothesis. So the government is giving medicine to the village population to prevent themselves from the mosquito-related disease. So you need to do chi-square test at 5% level of significance to determine whether the medicine was effective or not. So that we are trying to find here. So in null hypothesis, maybe I put the null hypothesis is that there is no relation. There no relation between. So suppose in null hypothesis, what I'm writing, there's no relation or the giving medicine is independent of falling ill. The two parameters are there that either we are giving medicine or we are not giving medicine or vertically or gently. If I see either you fall ill or you do not fall ill, so there's no relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease. There's no relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease. There's no relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease. There's no relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease and and falling ill and falling. So the people are either falling ill or they are not falling ill. So what I wrote in null hypothesis, I wrote in null hypothesis that two parameters are given here. One is that either you are taking medicine or you are not taking medicine. So that is one. Other parameter here is that either you are falling ill or you are not falling ill. So in null hypothesis, I'm saying that relation between them. There's no relation between taking medicine fever. Okay, so there's no relation between them. So either you take medicine or you don't take medicine. That is independent of you are getting ill or not getting ill. So that means that uh, this medicine distribution program is not effective. I hope you understand it. So the whether the medicine is effective or not. So what I mean that this medicine related to medicine related to mosquito related disease, mosquito related disease is not effective. Is not this I wrote in the hypothesis. Okay. No relation between giving medicine for the mosquito related disease and falling. Two parameters here were given that either you take medicine or you don't take medicine. Other parameter urgently is given as either you are falling ill or you are not falling ill. So in null hypothesis, I am saying that there is no relation exists between these two parameters, that either you take medicine or not is independent of either you fall ill or not. So that is what I wrote in null hypothesis. Now in alternative hypothesis, now in alternative hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, I write that there is a relation. There is a relation. So in null hypothesis, I said there is no relation, that giving medicine is not effective, and an alternative hypothesis, I say there is a relation between there is a relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease for mosquito related disease. There is a relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease. There is a relation between giving medicine for mosquito related disease and falling ill because of mosquito related disease. Because of there is a relation point. So that I wrote in alternative hypothesis. So here in alternative hypothesis, I say that medicine against the related disease, medicine against the mosquito related disease, medicine against the mosquito related disease is what I wrote. So I wrote my null hypothesis, I wrote my alternative hypothesis. So once I'm done with writing my null hypothesis and my alternative hypothesis, then what I'll do after that, what I'll do, I'll once I'm done with now, I'll prove this. I'll prove, I'll prove whatever the kind of test I can do. So then I'll do addition of I-square statistics. I'll try to do here the calculation of I-square statistics. And when I'm trying to do the calculation of I-square statistics, uh, let let I consider few variable here. Suppose P1. Here, suppose if I come up with few variables called P1. So what is P1? So P1 basically means what is P1? P1 is proportional. That means what? That means a proportion of people who took medicine and fall ill. So that is my P1. What is my P1? P1 basically means the proportion of village people. Proportion of village people who took medicine. Who took medicine. Who took medicine. Proportion of village people who took medicine, proportion of village people who took medicine and fall and fall. So that is my P1. Okay, and then so this is my P1. I hope you understand it. First row, first one, proportion of village people who took medicine and fall. Then so then what can I say after that? How many proportion of village people are there who took medicine and they fall ill? And then what is P2? What is P2 here? P2, P2, what is P2 here? Because P2 is that proportion of village people, proportion of village people who did not take medicine, who did not take medicine, proportion of village people who did not take medicine and fall. That I defined as P2 and fall. P2 is the proportion of village people who did not take medicine and fall. I hope you understood what is P1, what is P2. So P1 is the proportion of village people who took medicine and then they fall ill. So if that proportion is more, then automatically giving medicine does not make any sense. P2 means proportion of village people who did not take medicine and then they fall ill. Okay, that basically means the P2 general case scenario. Okay, then what I can discuss, I can say in another terms like I can say suppose P3. P3 means proportion of proportion of village people, proportion of village people who took medicine, who took medicine, who took medicine and did not fall ill, and did not fall ill. That is P3. And then I can define P4. Basically means P4 basically means proportion of village people, proportion village people who did not take medicine, who did not take medicine, who did not take medicine and did not fall and did not fall, did not fall. So I define four proportion. So in null hypothesis, I can write H naught. In null hypothesis, I can write P1 is equal to P2 equal to P3 equal to P4. So all four are equal. Giving medicine or not giving medicine, getting ill, not getting ill does not make any sense. Okay. H1 in alternative hypothesis, I say that at least two of them at least two of them are not equal. At least two of them are not equal. This is what we are doing. So ANOVA also, I hope you remember, we have done the same. So in chi-square also we do the same thing. The difference, what difference you are finding between ANOVA and chi-square is that in case of ANOVA, we were talking about the equality of mean. Okay. Here we are talking about the equality of proportion. So that part you can understand, guys. So what we are doing here. So in ANOVA, we were talking about mean data, average data. In ANOVA, we were discussing the test of hypothesis under the consideration of average data. But in the case of chi-square test, we are working on, in the case of chi-square test, the research what we are doing, we are performing research in the form of proportion. So I hope you understood this part. So this is what you need to work on. Once you're done with this, now what I need to do here, I'll just write down the data what is given in the question. You can see the question what is given in the question. The same thing I'll write here. The same thing I'll write. Okay, the data what is given in the question. You can see this. So I'll just take this data and you put it here. You draw this. Okay, in exam you draw this. In exam you draw this. So in exam you draw this. Okay, you draw neat work. You need to work in exam for this. Now once you're done with this, once you've drawn this data neatly, what you need to do. So simply now when I'm doing the chi-square statistics calculation, now I'll do the calculation of chi-square statistics. Now I'll do the calculation of chi-square statistics. I'm trying to do the calculation chi-square statistics. I'll write something called observed frequency. Observed frequency. Observed frequency F naught. I'll write something called observed frequency, which is called F naught. What is observed frequency? Observed frequency is the data what is given. 380, then 360. The data what is given in the table. Then 420. Okay. Then 540. So four data are given. This you called as observed frequency. What is given, you call this as observed frequency, and then I'll find something called expected frequency. Then I'll find something called expected frequency is called FE. Okay. So this we call the expected frequency, and the formula of expected frequency formula is row total into column total divided by the total. Divide by the total. Row total into column total divide by the total. So what is row total? See this row total 380. What is the row total of 380? 740. Okay. Then what is the column total of 380? That is 800. Divide by what is the total value? 1700. That is the expected frequency. Similarly, the expected frequency of 360 row total is 740. Column total is 900 divided by 1700. Similarly, 420. What is the row total of 420? 960. The row of 420 is 960 into column total of 420 is 800 divided by 1700. Similarly, do the same thing for 540. Row total is 960. Column total is 900 divided by 1700. Do the same thing for all row and column. That what the value what we get is called expected frequency. So you can see this already have calculated everything. So you will get this value. So first thing what you will do, first thing you'll F naught. F naught is the data which is given in the question: 380, 360, 420, I40, that we call as observed frequency. Then I'll find expected frequency. Okay, so expected frequency of 380, expected frequency of 380 is 800 into 740 divided by 1700. So, so expected frequency of 380 would be 800 into 740 divided by 1700 divided by 1700. I hope you understand this, everyone. So do this calculation by yourself. You can do this calculation by yourself. So you find this value. So for each value, you can find a corresponding value that we call as expected frequency. So this what you get, this value what you get, this will be around 348.24. This value what you get, that is 348.24. This value you will get is 391.76. Okay, this value that will be around 451.76, and this is around 508.24. Any doubt, anyone? So this you called as expected frequency. This you called as expected frequency. So once you get this, once you get this, now what you do, find the difference, F naught minus Fe. Find the difference. Find the difference, F naught minus Fe. The difference you get is 31.7647. 31.7647. 31. Minus 31.7647. Then this is minus 31.7647. And this is plus 31.7647. This difference you'll get. So this is the difference between F naught minus. First, the data what was given, that was your observed frequency. Then you will find expected frequency. Expected frequency is row total into column total divided by the total value. Okay, then that we called as expected frequency. That we called as expected frequency. That we called as expected frequency. Then you will find F naught minus Fe. I hope everyone understand. Find the difference between row total and column total. Find the difference between row total and column total, and then F naught minus E square. Not minus Fe square. So do the square of this. 1008.996, 1008.996, 1008.996, 1008.996, 1008.996. Find the square of this. Okay, once you get naught minus Fe, do the square of this and then divide this F naught minus Fe whole square divide by F. Divide this 1,1,0,0,8,996 divide by Fe 348.24. Then 1,008.996 divide by 391.76. Then 1,008.996 divide by 451.76. Then 1,008.996 divide by 508.24. Find their value. Find their value. We'll get this as 2.8965. This you will get is 2.5478. This you will get is 2.2378. This you will get is 1.984. Do the sum of this. Find the sum of this. F naught minus Fe whole square divided by Fe. Find the sum of this, you get 9169. Very simple you have to do. So the observed frequency, the data which is given in the table, the data what is given in the table, that is the observed frequency. Find expected frequency. So the formula for expected frequency, the formula of expected frequency is row total into column total divided by the total value. With that you will find the expected. So once you have observed frequency and expected frequency, then find the value of chi-square statistics. Then find the value of chi-square statistics. So find the value of chi-square statistics. Find the value of chi-square statistics. Find that value using the formula. Use the formula and find the value of chi-square statistics. Okay, so the find the value of chi-square statistics. So the formula for the chi-square statistics. So the formula what the formula what we use for the chi-square statistics is sum of f naught minus fe whole square divided by fe. So use the formula for chi-square statistics. Use this formula. You know how to find expected frequency. Row total into column total divided by total value. Once you get observed frequency and expected frequency, find f naught minus fe. Then f naught minus fe square. What is f naught minus fe? The difference between observed frequency and expected frequency. Do the square of that, and then whatever the value you get, divide by fe. The sum total of this is the chi-square statistics. Clear, everyone? The sum total of this is your chi-square statistics. So once you get this value, so your chi-square statistics, if you see here, so the, the calculated chi-square statistics, the calculated chi-square statistics what you are getting here, that is equal to 9.6938. Okay, so this value get this value what you get, I'll compare this value with the threshold chi-square value. So I'll compare this value with the threshold chi-square value. I'll compare this with threshold chi-square value. So this value what I get by using the formula called summation of f naught minus f whole square divided by fe. This is by using this formula I got the calculated chi-square value. This I'll compare with the threshold chi-square value. So now I'll do the calculation of every time whenever you do test of hypothesis. So what you do, the calculated value whatever you get, will compare that with the threshold value. The calculation of threshold chi-square value. So the calculation of threshold chi-square value. Before I do the calculation threshold chi-square value, I need degree of freedom. I need degree of freedom. So the degree of freedom here, the degree of freedom what we use here is the number of row minus 1 into number of column minus 1. That is the formula what we use for the degree of freedom. So how many rows are there? Two rows are there. And how many columns are there? Two columns. So we get the value per. So here what I'll do this calculation of threshold square value. So for that I'll find the degree of freedom. Degree of freedom is number of row minus 1 into number of column minus 1. So that I'll get the value called 1. Okay, and the level of significance is 1. Sorry, level of significance is 5%. Level of significance 5%. So at degree of freedom 1, use the degree of and level of significance at 5%. Okay, that is already given in the problem that you have to use a level of significance of 5%. You can see in the problem. So the degree of freedom you'll get by the formula a number of row minus 1 into number of column minus 1. With that you'll get the degree of freedom. And the level of significance is 5%. So use the table. So use the table by by observing table, by observing chi-square table, by observing chi-square table, the threshold chi-square value, the threshold chi-square value, what you will get is equal to how much? The threshold chi-square value. Square table, chi-square distribution table. So here your degree of freedom, here your degree of freedom is 1. Here your degree of freedom is 1. How you get, this is the formula in chi-square table, degree of freedom, number of row minus 1 into number of column minus 1. The level of significance is 5%. So when you use the chi-square table, so the threshold chi-square value, what you get, at degree of freedom 1 and level of significance is 5%. So you can see the value given is 3.84. I think everyone can see this value. See the degree of freedom 1 and level of significance 5%. I hope you understand. This is 0.01, 0.02, 0.05. So C for 5%. So what is the value given? 3.84. So the threshold value is 3.84. But your calculated value is 9.69. So now you can say that since the threshold since the threshold chi-square value, since the threshold chi-square value, which is 3.84, is less than the calculated chi-square value, is less than the calculated chi-square value. What is your calculated chi-square value? 9.69. Always understand, you will accept the null hypothesis only when your calculated value is less than the threshold value. Here you can see your calculated value is more than the threshold value. Since the threshold chi-square value is less than the calculated chi-square value, so so we we do not accept the null hypothesis. So we do not accept the null hypothesis. So we do not the null hypothesis. So we do not accept the null hypothesis. So we do not accept the null hypothesis because your calculated value is more than the threshold value. What this means? It means what this means? It means there is a relation between. It means there is a relation between. Is a relation the between the there's a relation between what we wrote in alternative hypothesis. It means there is a relation between it means there is a relation between giving medicine for the mosquito related disease and falling ill because of okay, because you are rejecting the null hypothesis means what? It means what? It means you are accepting the alternative hypothesis. Means the medicine against the mosquito related disease is effective. Okay, and if you would have been accepted the null hypothesis, it would have been then that the medicine against the mosquito related disease was not effective. So either you give medicine or you don't give medicine, people will fall in. But here we are rejecting the null hypothesis, we are accepting the alternative hypothesis. It means yes, the relation between the number of people who take medicine with respect to the number of people who fall in. So means yeah, the medicine is creating positive impact with on the village population, and with that medicine, ultimately the population who at least the proportion who take medicine will ultimately get benefit because of it. So you can see that, you can see this, you can see this proportion wise. If I try to calculate this, you see that if I calculate this proportion wise, so if I calculate this proportion wise, so if I calculate this proportion wise, you can see this. So this is 380 when you divide by this is this you can analyze this. This is 0.475. This is 420 divided by 820. You can see this. Now the same thing. 360 divided by 900, and then this is 540 divided by zero point 0.6. So you can either analyze this like this way. So those who take medicine and then with the total, like how much population is taking medicine, with how many people are falling ill, that you can analyze with the another set of population. That those how many people medicine. So you can look into all possible framework. You can look into all possible framework. So you can look into the all possible framework. So here this you can look into all possible framework when you do your analysis. Is I'm audible, guys? Is I'm audible? Can you people hear me? Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you. So here what you can do, you can look into all possible framework. You can look into all possible framework, like the proportion of people who take medicine with respect to the total people who are falling ill. So how many people, what percentage of people who are falling ill, the what percentage of people who are falling ill, what percentage of people who are not falling ill, that you can compare with the proportion of people who take medicine out of the total people, that you can compare with the how much proportion of people who do not take medicine. So here you need to analyze both row wise and column wise. So that's why we did analysis with the formula that you take row total into column total divide by the total value. So that way you do justice to the work what we are trying to do here. So the assessment what we are trying to do here, what assessment we are trying to do here, the assessment is basically that assessment is basically the proportion of people. We are doing bi-dimensional assessment, but that what we are trying to do, that proportion of people who take medicine and the proportion of people who fall ill, that we are comparing with the proportion of people who do not take medicine and those who fall ill, that we compare with the proportion of people who take medicine and did not fall ill, and then that we compare with the proportion of people who do not take medicine and did not fall ill. So we are trying to find the equality of these four proportions. So how equal they are. So if they are equal, then we'll reject the null hypothesis. If they are not equal, means yeah, the medicine is making some sense to the village population. Any doubt, anyone? Anyone, any doubt?